Okay, you might not be able to hear me too well when I'm in the car, truck, or whatever. But I fixed some things. Still not happy with this volume mix. You might even hear me too loud right now, but you know, I used to when I used to do this on PlayStation, like it had like three settings, and the middle one was like perfect, to hear the voice and hear the other sounds, going on. But we're not on PlayStation. Well, we're feeling better and worse. Um, yeah, so we got, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking about it. I think I came up. I hit a wrong setting at the beginning of the season, and I'm not getting Xfinity hot seat rides. I think it's because I closed it off because I wasn't planning directly compete, not thinking, because I forget all that stuff comes up at the end, and I was struggling that night. But so if you look at the purse here at Michigan, even if we win the race, max is going to be in the $30,000 range, and Michigan is another one of those tracks that we'll probably end up finishing in the 20s. Simply because just don't have the engine, don't have the aero, and on a run over like 15 laps, our suspension takes a vacation. So it's gonna be another grinder deal. Good news is I think. Where we got? I got a select car. I don't think I can do that now. Oh yeah, here. So when we hit 270,000, I can get to 100 engine, which would be great, because with 100 and 95 and 95, that's $500,000 more. We can do stuff, but we need the 100 engine. So that's basically what we're grinding to. I know I keep spending a little money here and there, but it's all part of the plan since we are at where we are at. Looks like we got into the playoffs, and I'm wondering if the playoff races have a bigger purses. But I know when we get to the super speedways, we have a little bit the bigger purses, and I'll be okay in the super speedway. I'll try to win it, but I know I can finish up in the top 5 for sure, not top 3. Okay. We have a setup in already. I know I'm working hard on it. I'm gonna go research here. I don't have my other stuff set up. I was working on the sound. What I'm pulling up is the last race at Michigan here. The truck. In career, you can only, like here, I should do this right now, is take a picture. Damn, what the hell is I lost the keyboard this past week among the other issues that I have, so I'm using a secondary keyboard that came with one of the computers I got that I rarely use. all kinds of stuff. I got neck issues going on. Yeah, it's a lot of fun being me right now. Okay, where's the playlists? That's on my YouTube site. Season 1, so it's Heat 5. That's under Heat 5 26. View full playlist. Michigan and Gateway races. 16. So this is race 16. And I'm looking for is the last pit stop I made. For the pit changes. Because this is one of those setups that I finally had a really, really good Michigan setup that I came up with in the truck that I could get out, lead. Finally. Oh, this is Gateway. Okay, those are the same thing. Duh.
That money might be better spent.
There it is. I don't think. Let's compare. Okay.
What that means is
wedge is the same. Put the tape up. And I do here. I put these down. I felt I wasn't loose enough. Too slow. It's the same. Okay. I know. I use something called the Ultimate Race Car something guide, and that's where I get my shop information from. 'Cause I should know it, but I have a bad brain, so I have to constantly look it up. I kind of got the four corners, but the bump, the rebound, and so on and so forth, and their interaction with each other. In fact, let me double check this. So I had taken this from a not that great setup I was talking about, but a couple before. So the left rear bump, which is also compression. They call it bump in the game, but compression might be a more common, more familiar name. Okay. Left rear. Okay, higher bump will loosen the chassis. Okay, that's what I need. Higher rebound. Oh, higher compression will loosen out. Rebound, loosen in. Do I need more in? I think I do. Now rebound also means this is how much play the shops have. So like traditional setups in NASCAR have what they call like a bump stop setup, and the bump stop setup tends to limit your shock travel. So you would have like all these would be like 3s and 4s, you know, kind of thing. But that doesn't always get you the fastest vehicle, unless you know everybody else is using the same thing. And what makes it difficult to understand when you're watching the races is that, you know, there are the top teams who are using that because they have the engineering to figure out have the lesser teams, not as good, as well funded or staff. Nothing wrong with that. They don't have those engineers to get them to the nth degree, so they tend to use a little bit freer setups, unless they have an alliance with those teams. I'm not really a fan of that, but I like more play. But, I started doing this when, Earnhardt was king. So, and there's a story that Junior tells at Indianapolis. They go there and the 8 car is running well. It's near the top of the chart. Dale Sr.'s running, mid-pack, 15th, 25th, somewhere in there. And he says the only time that he got to run his dad's car, he said, his dad said, wait, just try my car. So he goes out in his car, which is not using that bump stop kind of setup, and it was moving all over. It was leaning in the turn. It was like, compared to his car, it was like driving a Cadillac. Comes in, he says, how can you drive that thing, whatever. It's like, watch. Just watch. I forget exactly how he said it and what he said, but it's like, watch. 15, 20 laps into the race, I'll be passing you. And, Junior didn't think anything of it. So, that's my dad. Your dad's Dale Earnhardt Sr. Different, maybe. So it comes the race. Junior started up front, qualified well. His home stop setup. Sure enough, about lap 15, 20, here comes Dale Sr. Junior dropped to the back and all the other bump stop cars. Dale Sr. went right to the front. Interesting. That story stuck with me because I kind of always felt more comfortable in a setup that lean in the turns. Let the body move so the tires stick a little better. You get it right. You gotta get it right. That's me. Feel bad, but it's slow. Aero and power. We're gonna be a back marker today, but maybe we'll get lucky. I still can't get those damn buttons right. Let's see if there's anything. I think that rebound should help a little bit. What the hell? We're probably going to finish in the back anyway. Oh, we might get lucky. Take a picture of this. So it's wind. That's great.
It's possible.
So many things. Switch it to a higher gear. That's 286 higher than 291 gear thought. Get a little bit more top end, but also make it handle a little tighter, and I believe that on the long run it got looser. But yeah, a little tighter. I can keep it off the wall. I have a little more momentum here from the wall. See, if you look at the tire temps, right front is 140s, and right rear is 164. It's a little more than I would want it. Terrible one. I gotta balance with the other gear. At least starting off. Who knows? It might come to me. About 10 degrees too much. Yeah. About a 10 slow by myself. The higher gear helps you in the draft to a point. Just don't know if
That money might be better spent.
I should. Because I think I'm with the engine power the way it is. I think I'm on the cusp of being one gear or the other, and I've been erring on the side of a lower gear. Thinking maybe I should err on the side of a higher gear for this one.
It's possible to fix it.
It's a little tight off though.
That is going to be that.
Could do that, but
What that means is
it's gonna wear there. Let's not do something that I can't undo. Let's try that. Okay. Well.
So should you buy
Let's see what we got. I don't even see how many laps. 70 laps? 50 laps? Oh, I hit the button again. I'm so used to doing it. Kind of track, you need somebody to bump draft you. I don't have the draft partner deal on, because once they hook onto you, they don't let you go, and that can really hurt you. That thing is terrible. My left side tires are a little low. I gotta work on the setups. I don't have any goals in this race. I thought I had goals. Oh, 'cause I think I made my goals, so I have a couple of races, but it doesn't matter. I think it was 3 out of 5 top 10. I think I actually did that. Wow. That's why I had more money. Yeah, I was figuring I had about 160. I think it was a 10,000 colony. Anyway, that's progress. Top 10 for ourselves. Bottom of Michigan. Sure. Why it's moving up? Because it's too loose? Because it's tight? Too wide? I don't use spotter. Game spotter sucks. Typically about a half second too slow. Useless. At the wrong times. If you notice, you know, a lot of people make setups and like they look at these setups and they don't look at the tire wear. See, I know I have a few setups like that. Kentucky is one of them. The left side tires wear much more evenly, and that's important. If you ever want to do a two-tire strategy, the more even your left side tires are, the better. Laps, I gotta go all the way out to the wall. Now I'm cutting inside somebody, I'll end up spinning myself out. Have to get way out of it, pedal it, lose speed. Anyway, fix that. That's the best way to fix it. Wedge. If you look at the X, the left front and the right rear are lower temps than the right front and the left rear. When you take the wedge and you add, you're moving the weight from the left to the right in the front and the right to the left in the back to balance it out. These small chains as we have another short stage here. They're not pitting, right? 35 laps. We'll be faster because they did take tires. It's not a trick, but they're not doing it. moved up to 11th in points. Not that we can actually compete for a championship truck. So my goal is to get enough points to maybe we finish the season and end up with enough money to make it count. We get a ton of money in the truck series. Get as much as we can, and we can enter the second season better chance of finishing our team shop, get the best aero, engine, suspension parts, train up our crew, get the other couple of trucks that we'll need, of course, the speedway, and go from there. You know, we can win races. Just need to do it on a more consistent, run our front on a more consistent basis, which we've moved towards. These last few races, we pretty much moved from a top 20 team to a top 15, almost a top 10 team. Still not quite there yet, but we're getting there. I wish you could dial the AI strategy. It's not bad, you know. The AI is not terrible. It actually kind of mimics real life sim racing. Same things that the AI does. Like, you know, I know in the super speedways they changed it, or they killed this game, and gave AI ability to take 2 tires, less gas, that, you know, more accurately fit the strategy, and it would be smart. Well, we're not that slow. Constantly moving forward. I don't know if we'll make the top 10 by the time the stage ends, but we'll try. They're going to pit, and we're going to be on a long run, and the strategy against the AI is strategy against the AI is caution comes out, we pit. Fresher tires give us a better chance of moving forward. I mean, yeah, we lose a ton of spots, especially with a track like Michigan, where a lot of guys tend to not get some tight ends. A lot of guys don't go a lap down with time easy. I think everybody's still on the lead lap. But because the suspension goes away, you need fresh tires. This will probably drop like a rock. I know I've done it enough times. Yeah, we're not going to make the top 10. Let's get lucky here. Slip into the groove. Clear. Not enough engine power. Oh, this is terrible engine. But we cleared. tightened up. It's 215 and 231. That's 17. 218, 220, 235. Yeah, but 13. Gotta get lucky. Well, it's the best we can hope for is about there. Everybody's pitting. Okay, well, we evened up the front. That says we need more wedge. Let's get radical, hoping we get a caution. Just need enough gas to finish. In career mode, unless you're causing the caution at the end, there's never. Maintain our positions. I usually run it less when I have full engine power, because you get better gas mileage and horsepower. Cool the engine runs. But when we have an underpowered truck anyway, with compromised aero, can't afford good aero. You get all the aero you can get. It does make the truck a little looser, which is contributing to the setup issues in this race. Turning. Yep, our speed is a little bit faster than the suspension can handle. The problem is if I wait on the gas, they'll just pull away. They have more horsepower. I gotta run it like a momentum track. I gotta get on the gas before them to stay even. The draft helps, but they'll pull away from me. See how good they're handling. Yeah, it's too tight. See? Tick slow on the gas. It's tight. Getting it into groove, which is good, but they're going to pull away from us. The good thing is we're in 7th. The bad thing is if we lose their draft, the guys behind us will swallow us up. They keep racing a lot. Oh, back up. least I'm not spinning out, and I'm not hitting the wall yet. But I am losing the draft. I wish, like in the older games, they let you scroll through the relatives so you can see who's behind those guys. It's just those two guys. There's no boss fight, no finishing night. There's a group like in front of us. Now I'm screwed. Definite improvement, but we are very draft dependent. Should I let him push me? He's gonna pass me again. If he passes me, I'll be able to see more. I know the right front. Looking at 11th right now, I'd say realistically, from what I can see behind me. Just gotta stay off the gas there. If I can get a better mark in, but the changes I made, I'm fighting the truck. I gotta stay out of the gas. Better. Got a bunch of guys behind. I think the game thinks I'm better than a 9th place truck. Every time I got to him, I was going to make a move. He was outside. He moved up. Blocked me. Yep, there it comes. We're gonna have a caution. It's gotta happen soon. Sometimes you don't get a caution in these races. Most of the time you get one. It's usually in the 3rd stage. Since we're about halfway through the 3rd stage. It can happen anytime, if it's gonna happen. Did that on purpose. All fall off. It's not the setup, it's the crappy truck. But I did stabilize it, you know. Much easier to drive than it was. So, you can see, the right front is supposed to wear more than the left front. So I'm moving in the right direction, but I need to loosen up the rear in a different way. So I don't have to overcorrect off and almost hit the wall. earlier. So that's not as big an issue. So here we got a little leeway. I'm using every bit of the track just to keep up as much speed as I can. The only reason why I'm going down here is to not get fast down here. It's not the fastest way around here. But I don't have enough engine in it to keep them behind me. I'm gonna get past that. I'm not trying to block it. It's a draft bump. The other thing, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I can tell the weight balance is off. I thought I got it driving better. It's not ridiculously loose. You get to a certain point, which it kind of does a little bit in 3 and 4. The truck or the car should just kind of want to turn. It doesn't do that until it's tied on slower down the backstretch. It's a huge deal. That's when you make a lot of your speed. Yeah, the front stretch is longer, but that's a pretty long backstretch too. Come off 171. That's great. See, we're not picking up. We should be like 190 over here. And we're that much slower than everybody else. So any track that is long straightaways is an issue for us right now. Yeah, if we get a caution, we're not going to have enough time to make up anything. Oh well. The 14th is not bad. It's better than like 19, 20 and last year. We got the left front almost as hot as the right rear. See the wear is only 1%. Yeah, it should be like 5%, I think. Not that the right front should be more, but it is loose. The left front should be less. Closer to what the left rear is. We have a weight issue. One of the worst things about the upgrade from the oldest series of games to the Heat series is there's no weight scale. You got a weight scale, it's like you would at a real track. And so if you need to move weight around, get your wear better, get your setup better, in the setup thing, you go into the weight scale and you just move stuff around, and you can see a change. But here you gotta run the car and just look at how the tires wear, which is a great tool, but I mean you gotta put in a incorrect setup basically, and do trial and error. You have to see what it is, see what you got, make changes, go out, see what you got, make changes. So it's a much slower progression. If any of you guys were on iRacing Open, or even if you got the fixed setups, you can see that they give you percentages when you make changes of where the weight is. ride heights, and so on and so forth. Which is, you know, kind of how you do it in real life, pretty much. But again, there's a lot of trial and error, and a lot of different things, and a lot of, you almost got to be an engineer to figure it out, or you got to do it by trial and error. A lot of trial and error guys out there. Fortunately, you know, I had to learn that way. So you kind of learn certain things. Okay, the best thing is to have the weight here. That's great. And you put the weight there. Now your ride height is illegal. You know, you're rubbing on the ground. You get your right rear up in the air. Won't even touch the track. You know, it's not that simple. Sometimes, in order to get one setting change in real life, you have to change 5 things. And then at the same time, sometimes one setting change will change 5 things. So you got to figure out, like a puzzle, like a Rubik's Cube, how to get all the pieces where you want them to be. And a lot of times you end up with a compromise. And in you know, games like this, in iRacing, you know, you have a fixed medium, so it's not like, you know what, let's go massage that fender a little bit. I bet you that would help that handling issue. Within the rules, I mean. You don't have that kind of thing. So you gotta compromise. And the best guys that can do that make the best setups. Or you just run fixed, which to me is kind of like going down to your fair go-karts. I hate fixed setups. And I'll tell you why. Because I like a different front end geometry. And when I started building setups, I learned one thing that anybody can use. Get the front end right first. You're halfway there. And until that front end is right, you'll be chasing that setup for years, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. So I built setups when you had more than 1,200 springs, and the left sides weren't limited to 600. So, you know, I can make the big changes easy, and get a lot closer on a setup, and then fine tune the other settings. And E5. All the D series, you're limited to 1,200s on the right and 600s on the left. And you know, a lot of setups can fall in there, but you know, for me, it just doesn't work. But I will say that when I entered this game with my own setups, I was kind of bummed at the limitations. And I sought out other guys who were building their own setups faster than me. And they basically adopted certain rules that I followed for a long time, and I realized they were not good for me. And when I broke away from that, that's when I started to get to the better setups for me. The other thing I noticed, a lot of guys making setups, and nothing against them, style that I don't care for is they get a setup a certain way and then they just loosen it up to go faster. I don't work for qualifying. It doesn't work for a 50 lap run. You gotta fit at 30 laps. Somebody can stay out 50 laps in there. Now it's a 50 lap guy. A lot of races like that. Well, 16th. another reason why a lot of guys like shorter races, like lead racing and stuff, because they know their setup will go away quicker than everybody else's. You have shorter runs, more cautions, and their not so good setups become the preferred setup. I mean, the last league race I won was in Phoenix in a truck, and I won it. It was a full race, and I think the last third stage was like 50-something laps, and you had within like 3 or 4 laps of gas in the truck. And I'm not fast in Phoenix. I used to be in E4, but not anymore. I like to set up that, because of all the stuff that happens in league racing, you need to be able to maneuver and not wreck yourself as much as possible, you know, and I don't mind sacrificing a little speed to surviving to the end of the race, because the end of the race is, you know, get some points. It didn't always work like that in E5, but you know, that was what I did. You know, not that I was slow, but I mean, you know, 10th place, speed, you know, running up front for you know a while. But this last stint, nobody built the setup, even though you had the gas to finish the whole segment. You know, we had to save a couple laps, you know. And we had no caution, so everybody started pitting. Some guys kind of saw what I was doing and they tried to stay out, but they hadn't saved, so they had to pit. So one by one, everybody pitted. With, I think, 3 laps to go, I was leading the race. I had a couple laps extra in the tank also, but if you watch the race, I was not saving. I was running to the limit of the setup. I built the setup to run at a certain speed, and I was running full out the whole run, I think, except for like 8 laps in the beginning. But you know, in the beginning of a run where you're not starting up front, I think I restarted 12. You know, you're not running full song anyway, so you're saving anyway, just not running over people and stuff. And so when it came time to actually save, I looked at my laps and I looked at how many laps left, and I think I was even. So I said, I really don't have to save anything. I just have to take it easy, you know, just not drive too aggressively. And I didn't. You know, my tires and fuel lasted the whole way. I mean, I probably could have went another 3-4 laps on tires and fuel, 2-3 laps. Either way, I made it. And at the end of the race, somebody says, oh, you were saving. I said, I wasn't saving. I just, you know, my whole thing with building setups, give me 50 gallons or 50 laps in the tank. I'm gonna make it last 50 laps. Figure out how to do that, and then I worry about, you know, what everybody else is doing. Because if I can go 50 laps and you can only go 25, unless you get, you know, you're that much faster than me, and you get the right caution, you're gonna pit, and I'm not gonna have to. I thought that was the most important thing for racing 30 some odd years. 40 years. But that's me. I don't expect everybody to understand it, but that's my philosophy. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now.
it.